The market's in a bit of a downturn right now, and people are selling off a lot of their stuff, right? Mainly sealed, but a lot of people are shifting a lot of their cards and slabs right now. So the main question I'm going to answer today, really, is I get asked this a lot in a way, right, before we get to the question, is basically, Jace, I think loads of stuff has fallen. I'm selling stuff off like crazy. So the question is really, should you be selling your cards before the market gets even worse? Now, the market, I think, will eventually get worse. I did a predictions video the other day where I went through what I think is going to happen in 2026, where I think we're going to continue with this downward trend, especially singles and slabs. I think they're going to fall even more of what we've seen from their crazy all-time highs this year. Sealed will slip a little bit, but nowhere near as much as singles and slabs. So the real question is, should you be selling it off, right? Or should you hold, or what is going to happen, right? One thing I've noticed recently, especially vending at card shows, is there's a shift, and the shift is basically people are struggling to shift their slabs. Like vendors are really, really struggling to move them. They've been falling like crazy. A lot of people that have single cards, singles seem to be like the king right now when it comes to shows. I've experienced it. Other people have experienced it, and a lot of people don't want to be selling their singles into a lot of these stores, and it's just really, really weird, right? We're in a weird little bubble situation, whatever it is right now when it comes to that. So right now it's like, okay, I have a lot of singles, I have a lot of slabs this year. I did invest a lot of money into increasing my inventory when it comes to singles and slabs. So for me, I'm like, do I really want to be buying in a load of singles or a lot of slabs, or trading for a lot of singles and slabs if they're then going to fall again in the next few months by another 20, 30, 40%? Is like, where do I go from there? Like, do I do that? Is now a good time? And so on and so forth. If you're someone like me and you're looking to, sell them, take them in, sell them as a business or anything like that, you want to be doing it incredibly quick. If you're someone that just wants to complete master sets or their collection, or they're looking for graded plays to potentially look at holding for a potential gain in the long term and so on and so forth, then I think there's definitely certain things that you could be doing right now. Now is a good time as well to pick up stuff. If stuff is falling, you want to be picking up at a cheaper price point than where it was a month ago even, and stuff like that. We've seen a lot of big cards, a lot of big graded cards fall, from their all-time highs, especially in the Scarlet and Violet era. That is for dead certain. So for me, it's kind of interesting. I think one thing is with grading is a lot of people waiting for stuff to come back from PSA as well, which is going to have an impact in the overall population and the amount that's out there in the open market circulating. That's another thing, right? So for me, I'm like, am I going to be buying single cards right now? Yes, that's the main thing I'm going to be looking at picking up, mainly because they are getting cheaper. Could they get even more cheaper? Yeah, I do depend on what type of cards you're looking for. Are you looking for Sword and Shield era? Are you looking for Scarlet and Violet era? Are you looking for promos? Are you looking for megas, tag teams? What are you looking for? I think that has a huge, huge impact. I'm mainly talking about modern. I'm not talking about like mid-era or vintage stuff. Just ultra modern, like Sun and Moon and newer is the main things I focus on. So for me right now, should you be selling your cards? I'm going to say no. And the main reason is I think a lot of the Scarlet and Violet era, once stuff comes out of print and is definitely out of print, then they're going to start going up. We've seen it with Sun and Moon. So back in I think it was like 2024 or maybe even 2023. I think it was 2023. We did see a alt art boom happen for Sun and Moon, and then we saw a Sword and Shield alt art boom a little bit last year, and again this year. We saw everything boom this year, but definitely Sword and Shield last year. It was like, okay, so if you're looking at picking up a lot of Scarlet and Violet and you're going into 2026 and you're going, okay, well, anything that came out in 2023, early Scarlet and Violet era, so 151, Obsidian, Palladium Revolt, stuff like that, and then you're looking in 2024 and you go, okay, well, now we're looking at things like Paradox Rift, Palladium Fates, and so on and so forth. You could be looking at, actually, these are getting harder and harder to get hold of. We could start seeing an upward tick, especially some of the top end, like chase cards of these sets. So, things like the Magikarp, things like the big cards in like 151, like the Charizard, the OGs, and stuff like that. That could see an upwards tick going in, in 2026 itself. But then it's like later stuff, so maybe like Surging Sparks and 2025 sets, we could see them continuing to drop in 2026. So those might not be that great to be buying now. I think they will get a little bit cheaper. That's another thing to consider, right? And then you go back and you look back into Sword and Shield, and it's like, wait a minute, you look at the cost of these booster boxes and how hard they are to find now and get hold of Sword and Shield era sets. These big alt arts and even trainer gallery cards could also be doing really, really well. So that's another thing to consider across the board, right? Is if you're looking at picking up singles. Slabs is a little bit different. I think, again, with Scarlet and Violet era, I think a lot of the Scarlet and Violet era stuff is going to continue to fall going into next year. I think Sword and Shield has a better chance, but a lot of Sword and Shield was graded quite highly. The quality of Sword and Shield was very, very good. There was a lot more PSA 10s out there than there are SV PSA 10s. That's another thing to consider. One thing I will say to people is if you've, like me, and you've graded a lot with Ace grading, I actually think that their prices will continue to fall. Their value is not quite there, the same as PSA, and they're grading so many cards and they're getting them done a lot quicker than PSA. I have a feeling that we could be seeing more and more price drop values across the board from people like Ace. So that's another thing to consider as well. Me, I'm kind of holding off what I'm grading with Ace, and I'm going to wait and see what happens down the line. But right now, I'm not really looking at grading cards just because things are falling like crazy right now. Picking up graded cards could be a potential depending on what it is you're looking again as well. Now, as regards to sealed, so that's like singles and slabs. As regards to sealed, right now, I would say if I'm looking at picking stuff up, I would be looking at Scarlet and Violet era, maybe earlier Scarlet and Violet era stuff. Base set is an appeal. Paldea Evolved, Obsidian, 151. I think all of them is a good shout. Even though there are better sets out there, like Destined Rivals and stuff like that, they are in that reprint potential, right? They're in that time frame again, reprints. Yeah, 2023 potential. So SV Base, Obsidian, Paldea, 151. I think they're all fine. I think they're probably good ones to probably pick up. And, you know, I say they're cheap, but Paldea Evolve's not exactly cheap. And neither is 151, but you can get some good stuff. 151 booster models are pretty solid. I think booster boxes for the other sets are very, very good. And then besides that, Sword and Shield's kind of interesting. A lot of them have been going down a little bit or plateauing. So it depends what your budget is. It all depends. If I had the money, then I would probably buy earlier Scarlet and Violet, but that's probably the way I would go right now. But yeah, again, sealed is slipping a little bit by about 10 to 15%, give or take, depending on what it is. Some stuff's actually fallen a little bit more, especially the more like 2025 stuff has been falling a little bit quicker just because of that potential talks of reprints. I did hear rumors, I don't know whether it's true, that there's going to be reprints of booster boxes coming next year and see if it's going to be enough or anything at all. But yeah, so for me, is now a good time to sell, like, and get rid of your stuff? I would say yes and no, obviously depending on what it is. Will the market get worse? Yes, the market is going to, I think, in 2026. I don't see it going down to MSRP anytime soon. I don't see it being under MSRP for new product anytime soon. But I think we are seeing a price correction. This year has been a very unusual and exceptional year because we've seen huge growth across the board in every set and in every type of card, right? Card, slab, or sealed. It has been booming like crazy. So for me, it's like, you know what? I think it's time to just chill a little bit and let the market cool off. And we are in that cool off stage. The last 30 or 40 days, I've seen, I would say my overall portfolio has probably gone down by about 20% including singles, slabs, and sealed. Overall, I think it's gone down by roughly about 20% in the last 30 to 45 days. So it is slipping, right? It is slipping from an all-time high. And, it's like with the sealed, I'm not too worried about because I know you're going for that long term. Eventually, it will bounce back up and do really well. So I'm not too bothered there. I'm looking instead of making some plays here and there on stuff that's getting cheaper. But regarding like singles and slabs, I'm trying to offload my slabs as quick as possible, mainly because I'm not that interested in a lot of them. I don't really care that much about them. And I just want them gone, to be fair. So singles, slightly different. Singles, I'm actually looking at increasing how much I have. So if I can kind of just pop out the slabs for singles, I'm pretty happy, right? Especially I'm looking to go into more card shows on a business side of things. I want to look at doing and getting more singles ready for next year rather than a bunch of slabs, right? So it's going to be interesting to see. I think a lot of people do really like it. Of course, we're mainly focusing on English. Japanese is a little bit different. I think Chinese as well, obviously a bit different. Again, we are seeing a bit of a slow downtick. I actually think we're seeing more of a downtick with English than Japanese right now, mainly because like talking with my Japanese contact, booster boxes of Japanese is holding incredibly well. Inferno X is doing really well. You got Mega Brave around the corner. Even like Glory Team Rocket, Black Ball White Flare, they're all still doing really, really well in Japan. Like so for me, it's like, you know what? We're not really seeing that much downward turn regarding, you know, Japanese products yet. I think we might do in 2026. You'll start seeing things cool off, but we need to go back to where like booster boxes like what, 40, under 40 a box, rather than coming out 100 a box or something stupid. It's going to be interesting to see where that goes in the future in 2026. But I think until English gets under control, Japanese and Chinese are going to keep doing really well. Like for me, I'm looking at Chinese, and like when you look at some of these more unique artwork sets, like the gem pack volume sets and things like that, they're great, they're fantastic, they're cheap. They have unique art and so on and so forth. So for me, that's really appealing. Whereas like the Japanese sets, I mean, like I say, Inferno X is doing really well. We have seen a slight downward tick on some, but overall they're holding very well. And even the single cards in Japanese are doing relatively well as well. So it's kind of a weird one, but we'll have to wait and see what happens moving forward. But I do think now, if I was going to shift stuff, Slabs is a top priority. And then I would say probably after that would be singles. Sealed all depends on whether or not you have a point in mind where you're happy to sell, because at some point you're gonna have to sell, right? At some point you're gonna have to sell, otherwise it's gonna keep going up and up and up and up, and it's kind of just sat there. And it's at that point, as I found recently, when you have high value sealed product, trying to find a buyer for them, I found very, very difficult, especially here in the UK. It might not apply over in the US where people just have more money to spend, but over here I found it very, very difficult to shift high-end, high-value sealed products. And when I'm talking high-value, high-end, I'm talking products that, you know, just a booster box in the thousands is quite hard to shift. So keep that in mind if you're looking at keep increasing the value over and over and over and over, more and more and more, and build it up and up and up. When it does come to shift and try and get that money back, it's going to take time, right? It's going to take time. So you might have to, you know, patient waiting game and try and make deals or whatever it may be. But yeah, trying to sell high expensive items can be a bit tricky, so keep that in mind. It's kind of new to me. I mean, like trying to shift, I've recently shifted a lot of Sun and Moon stuff, and I've shifted some Sword and Shield. Sword and Shield hasn't been too bad, but it's like as soon as it breaks like the £1,000 range, I found it a lot harder to shift steel product. And then slabs as well, trying to shift very expensive slabs is a lot harder to shift than some of the lower ones. It's great having PSA 10s that are worth nearly £1,000 a piece, but they're really tough to shift, whereas like trying to shift like a £40-50 slab is super easy. So it's just one of those things. So keep that in mind if you're looking to sell some stuff. But really, should we sell our stuff now before the market gets worse? I'm going to say overall no. I would probably hold, especially if it's sealed, but I would sell slabs. That's probably the one thing I would sell. So keep that one in mind. There you have it, guys. Those are my thoughts and opinions right now on the market, whether or not we should sell our cards before the market gets worse. Overall, I would probably say no, but the market is going to take a bit of a turn, really. But I think things will pick up when we get closer to the 30th anniversary. That's my thoughts and guesses on that one. But who knows? I don't have a crystal ball, but those are my thoughts and opinions. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. That is it from me, guys, in today's video. Thank you so much for watching. As always, you guys are legends, and I'll see you in the next one.